Hi all, Hal here with more Empyrion Galactic Survival Alpha Preview. So yes, for those who did not tune in on Monday, you want to go back and grab that video first, where we basically show. Let me try that again. We are looking at the alpha build of Empyrion Galactic Survival, which is expected to release this Friday. On Steam for those who are already Empyrion players, and will be available for new purchase for everybody who is not. So I wanted to say thank you in advance to Eleon Games for making this series this week possible. While they are not directly sponsoring the series, they did provide me with access to the alpha build early, as well as a copy of the game to give away this week. So we also have a contest running over the course of the week. If you haven't seen the first video, the details are over there. I will provide a link to the contest directly in the description of this video, as well as a link either on screen or in the description, or both, for all of the videos in the series. So Monday's episode, we were talking about some of the new items, as well as highlighting some of the changes in the game and the way that the new systems are brought in. Today we're going to look at the structural integrity and the block system that has been included for the alpha build. So just like normal, when you are trying to build a base in Empyrion, you basically want to find that area that just calls to you for some reason. Be it because it's just the most convenient place for you, there's resources in the area that you're interested in, or just because, that's where you decide to build. Most of the time, mine are just because that's where I decide to build. So one of the things that you do want to keep in mind when you are doing resource selection now is that all resources, all natural resources for the plant life specifically, now will regrow in place. So if you find a spot that you really, really want, say it's, the corn dogs are one of my favorite things in the game, simply because it means I don't have to do anything to get food. When you find those places where you have, 15 or 20 corn dog plants in a near vicinity, that for me is probably where I'm going to build my base, because then I have a free food supply. And all plants now regrow, with the exception of the trees that you harvest. I haven't seen those regrow yet. Maybe the folks from Eleon will go into more on that, but for the time being, any of the actual resource plants, so the aloe, the corn dogs, all those will regrow in place. So now let's get on to the actual topic of today, which is base building. And this is probably the most requested of the episodes so far. So what we're going to do is, as you can see, I've got a base starter block in my inventory. Now, there have been changes to this system. Previously, when you were building a base block or any starter block, you needed a computer core and 8 they are now steel blocks, previously just the metal blocks, in order to build the core, or in order to build your starter. For bases specifically, for your actual bases, you only use a core now. So when you place it, you're only going to have a core. This is one of the things you kind of need to be aware of when you're placing them. As you can see, they have modified the collision on these things, so you no longer have to have flat terrain. So you can actually build into the side of a mountain if you want, and you'll be able to build a plateau style base, or a platform style base, overhanging over into the valleys, or however you want to do it. If you want to build at the waterline or slightly below the waterline, you basically do need to be, here at the shoreline when you place it. If you go too far out, you're not going to be able to build. Now, one of the things that I used to do a lot was to put bases directly on the water, but because of the new structural integrity system, you can no longer do this. This is because they are setting up to allow us to build underwater bases. At least that's what they keep claiming. For the guys at Eleon, come on, we want to see this. Show us the underwater base builds. But as you can see, I can actually place this thing underwater if I so choose. You just have to be close enough to the shoreline in order to have it actually connecting to something. For the sake of this video, we're just going to go ahead and place this thing here. As you can see, it places the core, and only the core. I did go ahead and grab a bunch of stuff to make the base. We have a couple of different armor blocks and material blocks. And the reason I grabbed some of these is because things like the concrete block and wood blocks are only good for base building. And then you have the steel and hardened steel blocks, which you can use for all crafting types. So the wood block, as you can see, welcome to the world of structural integrity. All right. So now that we've done that, let's do this for real. All right. So what we're going to want to do is you want your block to be as supported as possible. What I had done before was, as you saw, it was only attached here at the corner. So for this, I actually want it to be sunk into the ground a little bit. Now when I place a wood block or a concrete block, as you see, it doesn't go anywhere. So you do need to make sure your building materials are supported. Now once you've got that link in, I believe it will it's fine. I don't think that they have a structural integrity system like you see in some of the other survival games yet. And this does only apply to bases, not to ships. Yeah, so as long as your anchor point is firmly anchored, you're fine. Oh, there it goes. Look at that. See, I spoke too soon. So yes, there is actually a shear weight. Now, can we get that further out on this side? So yeah, structural integrity. It's real and it's in the game. So what this means is that we're gonna have to go 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 10, 11. What did we do? 13 and it broke because this is 13. No, 14. 14. Okay. So let's go 13 and then we will 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. Nope, that was 14. I miscounted. There's a whole lot of cement in the water now. 2, 3, 4, 6, 10, 12. Okay. So what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and part of the reason why they have the collision set up the way that they do with being able to push into the terrain is specifically so that you can build support systems for your structures. And now that should give us, yep, more room to work. Whoopsie. Wasn't quite what I intended, but that's okay. Right? Okay. So yeah, structural integrity. It's a real thing, folks. And as you can see, we have cement. Now, what we were talking about last time on Monday was the texture tool and the coloring tool. So when you look at the texture tool, all of the textures or most of the textures that you have are actually context based. Since we have cement now, not the metal, you get to change what the cement looks like. So you get different types of bricks and blocks and stuff. See if we can find one I like. You really want the marble. You can go for a marble look. And what's nice is that since you're doing this on the piece by face, you can actually have the sides look like something else. But as you saw in that tool, let's go here to 5. When you are working on things, you do still have the metal options for appearance. So this does not change the structural integrity of the block. All it does is change the general appearance of the block. It's still cement, and then if you look at the texture, you can still see the texture. It really is just basically a sticker on top of the block, which is cool because it means that you can get the looks that you're wanting without spending necessarily those specific resource types. And then for the wood, I think we have, yeah, we've got all the parquet and plank styles. You know, you're seeing a lot of overlap here with things like this. So even though it's wood, it now looks like marble, and it's the same sticker that the concrete has as far as the texture is concerned. So you can make a base completely out of wood, and it could look like metal, but it's still made out of wood. So keep that in mind, especially for the PvPers out there, or people who like to build in hostile locations. You build your base out of wood, it's going to be destroyed really, really quickly and very easily. But it'll look nice before it goes down. So now, let's try the, let's see, we've got support on that side, so we know it's not going to work there. So let's go ahead and put this here. And what we're going to do is let's see if the type of material that you're building with has an impact. So we said 14 on that one. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 10, 11, 12, 13. So that broke at 13. Let's see if we can get it out to at least where we have the concrete. And there. Okay, so it looks like the structural integrity is about the same regardless of the material, at least for the heavy materials. So let's go ahead and place this. That is now in the terrain, so it is actually supported. We can increase those out and not have a problem. Okay. Yeah. All right. Let's try this with wood now too, because now I'm curious. I want to know if all of them are basically the same. Yeah, it should be far enough out. And then if we go one more, yep. So yes, it is irregardless of material type. You get basically, it looks like 12. At 13 it breaks. 13 or 14. So you have been warned. So no more infinitely floating bases. You do need to have things in place to support. But it looks like the structural integrity is the same regardless of material type. So material type is really only going to dictate how much armor and how much hit points the blocks have. As we said last time, wood has no armor or hit points. It only has mass. The concrete blocks have 15 armor, 15 hit points. The steel blocks, which are the old default metal blocks, have 15 armor, 50 hit points. And the hardened steel has 15 armor, 100 hit points. So I've been thinking about this a little bit, and I'm thinking that hardened steel blocks, because they use twice the resource of the normal steel blocks, I'm wondering if maybe the armor should actually be a little bit higher. Basically, the block would have, say, the same general hit points or maybe a few extra hit points, but the armor would be, say, 50% better, you know, or something. All right. So I'm not in a hostile area, so I'm going to go ahead and just build me a base. All right. So we're not really going to do anything with this. It's really just taking a look at what's out here. We've seen the way that structural integrity works. So we know that, you know, things will eventually collapse under their own weight. And this is important because of the fact that, well, people like to build things where they had floating items. Guess what, guys? No more floating items. Now, I think everybody that follows my channel regularly knows that I am not a fan of floating lights, because people will build these things for crop plots where they'll basically, you build this little like structure and you put a light up and then you take the structure out. Right. And then they go, oh look, we'll put a light here. Well, if you do this, we don't have the repair and remove tool. Let's see if oh, look at that, your light falls. And you guys know who does that. And you know I'm going to do nothing but give them crap about it from now on, right? See, I've been warning them. Structural integrity was going to screw them up at some point. Oh. So, no more floating light structures, guys. Yeah, like I said, I do take a little bit too much pride in that. Alright, let's go ahead and grab some of these things here. Let's talk about some of the new stuff we've got going on. We're going to go ahead and get rid of all of these. So we got the medic station, food processing, we got fuel tanks, the generators, offline protection, which I had a couple of people asking me about. Whoops. So first off, let's go ahead and put our water generators and H2 generators down. Okay, so just like before, you do need to place these things in water. Nothing groundbreaking or unexpected here. Once they're in a certain position or a certain elevation, you're fine. And our water generator. So, you know, nothing different there. They haven't really changed the models on any of this. But they have introduced a few things that you might be interested in. This is the clone chamber, health, and oxygen. Okay, so for our life support needs in the base, depending on which planet you're in, you're obviously, you know, you want the O2 generator. Again, they haven't really updated this since the last couple of builds in the pre-alpha. There is your med station, which again, they really haven't changed too much since the early days of the game. But now we have a cloning chamber. So the difference between the med station and the cloning chamber is the cloning chamber is necessary in order for you to designate this base as your respawn point. Now, what has previously happened is that if you have a med station, you could basically respawn here anyway. Med stations now no longer offer, well, you can still respawn at the med station. The clone chamber, if you place it at a base or on a station or a CV, allow you to designate that location as your respawn point. So if you have multiple bases on a particular planet, every clone station you have, or clone chamber you have, you can say, I want to use this one next time I respawn. And every time I respawn thereafter until I change it to something else. So when you're out and about on the planets, and let's say you're on the far side of the planet over here doing something, and you happen to have a base with a clone chamber, if you are doing a raid, you die, you can respawn at that base instead of respawning all the way over here. It gets you back into the game a little bit faster, and it makes it a little bit easier to do your corpse runs for when you need to do them. Your backpacks now show up on the HUD, so in case you do happen to die while you're out and about, the backpack that you drop will show up on your radar at 500 meters, I believe, where previously it was only about 50 meters, so you had to be pretty close to find it. But now that it shows up, it does have a waypoint on it. The other thing is that when you start a new game and you are in survival mode, the survival constructor, sorry, it's a little early my time, the survival constructor also has a waypoint on the map now. So it's no longer place and forget it. You can place it and you can find it again without having to search all over. One of the changes that they did make, and I'm not sure why, but as you notice, the icon for the storage crates is that whitish tan color, but the storage boxes themselves are still this gunmetal color. Now, all of the items that we have placed are still subject to the coloring and sometimes texture tools. So you can basically change this, if you so choose, to fit in with any aesthetic that you're going for your builds. Again, I think that this is a rather awesome thing. And you can't, because these are items, it always applies to the full block, right? Now, if I remember correctly, I may be wrong, But I think that we can actually do symbols. Let's see here. Nope. But we can put them on blocks. Okay. So you can't mark up your stations, but you can mark up your blocks. Now, something to know about the symbols menus, and there is a reminder of this on the menu selector. You cannot use symbols from different pages. So you can only use the alpha and the first couple of special characters with the rest of the alpha and those first couple of special characters. If you have a block that you want to do something with the rest of these characters or numerics, you won't be able to say, actually, let's put the block down and I'll show you exactly what this means. Okay, so you have A here, right? You can put A on that side. Now, if you wanted to put, say, let's go with a logo on this side, it removes everything from the other page. So in order for you to have more than a logo on the block, they have to be from the same page. So you could say this and that to give you, a little bit of differentiation in the way it goes. I would like to see them change this. This is one of the gripes that I have for the new system. I would like for each of these faces to be tracked independently, and I'm assuming that they're doing this because this loads a texture palette that this is on, and by changing the page, it's actually a different palette. So that palette is now replacing all of the other palettes over here. And I don't believe if we go back to the symbols, yeah, see, it doesn't return the original palette. So it's only tracking the faces as related to the palette that was used on any one of the faces. Which, it works. It's not bad. It's one of those things that I would like to see changed sometime down the road. So if you guys are listening from Eleon, I know you're probably already working on it, but yeah. Okay, and then the last little bit. For those people who play in multiplayer, specifically on the actual PvP servers or PvP-enabled servers, the developers have put this into the game. I'm not going to go into the resources required to build the bloody thing. But what it is it's an offline protections tool. All right. What this does is that if you and everyone in your faction is offline for any period of time, and I think there is a time associated to it, you get varying levels of protection. The first level being that I think it's your base can't be damaged, or your chests are secure, I think is what it is. So it goes from chests being secure but the base can be damaged to bases are secure and cannot be damaged, all the way up to a full shield that keeps everybody and anyone out, so you can't even get people into the base to ambush when you come back. So it is based on everybody being offline, and it is faction controlled, so keep that in mind. Now, I have not used this thing, so I could be completely wrong with the order of process on how it works. I only know what I've been told in the patch notes and some of the interaction is that it is a progressive system. The longer it is in place and running, the more protections you get, but I don't know what the full ramp-up times are, so please don't ask because I won't be able to tell you. I almost forgot. And before I do forget, the chainsaw. Somebody asked about this, and I've seen a couple of questions about it pop up from time to time. Where did it go? Where'd it go? There it is. So the chainsaw can be used as a melee weapon. You can kill people with it. You can kill other players with it, I should say. You can also go hunting with it. It can be used in any capacity to do damage that any other weapon can be used. Now, does it actually have a damage? It does have a damage marker. So it does 50 damage, and I believe that is based on the amount of time. So basically, for each time you hit something, you are doing 50 points of damage for each one of those ticks. So as you can see, you can take out the blocks and stuff. So what this means is that you can actually hunt creatures, you can fight drones, you can fight the aliens with this. So if anybody wants to be Ash versus the aliens, you are more than able to do so. However, I would not recommend it. The AI changes to the aliens means you are probably going to get your face shot off. So just to keep that in mind, but you can do it if you so choose. It works in PvP, it works in PvE. All right? So, yeah, I'm going to go ahead and get out of here. I hope you all have a fantastic day. Thank you for joining me today, and I hope you enjoyed this second of our 3 early looks at the Empyrion Galactic Survival Alpha release, which is scheduled again for this Friday. If you have any questions or comments, make sure you throw them down in the section below. If you haven't done so already, I do ask that you leave a like on it if you enjoyed this, because, you know, this is the best way to get things like this to happen more in the future. And if you haven't, like I said, if you have any questions, let me know. Don't forget about the contest. And for those who aren't willing to take a chance on the contest, or just want to take a chance on the contest and have a second copy of the game, you definitely want to pick up your copy of Empyrion this week before the price goes up. Anyway, I'm out of here, folks. I hope you all have a fantastic day, and I hope to see you all back here Friday for the 3rd chapter, as well as our live stream at 7 p.m. U.S. Pacific time. And, yeah, so as always, folks, take care and be safe out there, everybody. Yeah. Ooh, that's got a lot of durability, apparently. Ooh.